Folk music is a phenomenon of nature. This kind of creation developed with the same kind of organic freedom as the other living organisms of nature. Flowers, animals. That's why folk music is so beautiful and perfect. It astonishes us with the compactness of its form and its expressive power, its economy, freshness and directness. Bela Bartok.
İğne battı, canımı yaktı. Tombul kuş, arabaya koş. Arabanın tekeri, İstanbul'un şekeri. Hop hop altın top, bundan başka oyun yok. Katica bogárka, menj fel az égbe, mondd meg a jóistennek, vigye fel a hideget, hozza le a meleget.
Gedikli fanıktan öteye sıra sıra yatırmışlar her biri meme.
Olekini yesemem bin, şehulekini yesemem bin.
Kışlanın kapısına nail oldum yapısına.
Jalot, három kislány zabot adott.
Turkic people have an important role in the history of Hungarians. Hungarians have been neighbours, partners or merchants of various Turkic tribes since the time they've gained their independence, and they've been influenced by the Turks as their intimate relationship lasted for hundreds of years. Evidence of cultural interaction with Turks is present in the Hungarian culture. Hungarians settled in their current homeland 1,000 years ago. After settling in their new homeland, they adopted Christianity and started to use Finno-Ugric language. However, Finno-Ugric culture cannot be found in their folk music. The Turkish influence extends all the way from Hungarian music to Hungarian language, proving itself with concrete evidence. This subject has been researched over a century. This research was initiated by famous Hungarian composer and researcher Bela Bartok in 1936.
Kuzuyunan ayağının tozuyunan. Dam başında su durur, oğlan mendil yudurur. Oğlan cahil, kız cahil de şimdi bunlar kudurur.
Bir yürüdüm, bir hopladım, haylı çekermiş arası. Bir kurşuncuk sıkındı etmen gamalar yar.
Lepedőcske, párnocska, kicsi borzas leányocska, lepedőcske, párnocska.
Máte kivut nekem, viszik messze innen.
Together with being a composer, folk music researcher and piano artist, Bela Bartok was also a teacher in a conservatory and one of the most prominent musicians in Hungary. He is one of the most outstanding figures of 20th century musical life as well. His art life and scientific activities are considered as pioneering studies within universal culture, as well as Hungarian and European history of music. Together with his contemporary Zoltán Kodály, he's laid the foundations of ethnomusicology and the science of comparative folk music. Bartók offered a rich repertoire to contemporary music with his unmatching harmonies, varying sounds, limping rhythms, and pentatonic scale-orientated melodies. Highlighting the percussions and providing traditional instruments with new sound colours is another feature of his music. Besides the knowledge accumulation he had in folk music, the composer was also open to the innovations of his contemporaries. In addition to his ethnomusicological studies, since Bartók had been a piano teacher for long years, he came up with works enriching his piano education. In his quest for the roots of Hungarian folk music, Bartók researched Romanian, Slovakian, and finally Turkish folk musics as well. And after recording 87 original songs of our folk music, he did scientific studies on them. He explored the 1,000-year-old neighbourhood between the two nations, setting out from Hungarian and Turkish folk musics. Bartók was born in a small town in Hungary in 1881 as the son of an agricultural school principal father and a primary school teacher mother who's good at playing the piano. Bartók was very sensitive to the sounds at baby age. He wasn't crying when his mother plays the piano and listening to her attentively. His mother made him take up piano classes when he was 4. He started to play the piano within a year. When he started the primary school, all the teachers and the students in the school knew Bartók due to his music teacher and the principal. When he was 9, Bartók started writing piano compositions, and a year later he gained recognition as a pianist by the public. In 1893 he moved to Pressburg with his mother. His mother started to work as a teacher here. Meanwhile, Bartók started to take music education and piano classes from László Erkel, son of the famous Hungarian artist Erkel. In 1899, he graduated from high school. He attended Royal Academy of Music in Budapest. He became the student of pianist and composer Hans Kossler. After graduating from the Academy in 1903, Bartók earns his living playing the piano and giving classes for some time. In 1905, he meets Zoltán Kodály, and together they start to collect folk songs. Within a year, their first folk music compilation is released. In 1909, he marries a young student of his, Marta Ziegler. Between 1907 and 1934, he serves at the Academy as a professor. In 1917, he attracts great attention with performance of the ballet The Wooden Prince in Budapest. In 1918, he gained international recognition with the opera Bluebeard's Castle. In 1907, Bartók became a professor in the Royal Academy of Music in Budapest. He spent 30 years of his life giving classes and on concert tours. Traveling many countries, he researched their folk musics, tonality relations, melodies and rhythmic features. However, together with the outbreak of World War I, he gave a break to his visits and went back to composing. From 1922 onwards, Bartók gains popularity as a pianist in the art capitals of Europe, such as Salzburg and London. In 1923, he wrote the Dance Suite in honor of the uniting of Buda and Pest. After writing String Quartet No. 3, which is considered as one of the most beautiful string quartets of all times, between 1927 and 1928, his harmonic expression becomes more unvarnished. After meeting with Hungarian peasant folk music, the real Hungarian music, as he calls it, other than Liszt's gypsy music, Bartók created totally new similar melodies as well as using folk music melodies in his works.
De én arra azt feleltem, másnak is van, nem csak nekem. Édes volt az anyám teje, keserű a más kenyere, keserű és savanyú is, néha napján siralmos is. Keserű és savanyú is, néha napján siralmos is.
Giving classes as a piano professor at the Royal Academy enabled him to stay in Hungary instead of travelling Europe as a pianist and collect more folk songs, especially from the Transylvania region. Meanwhile, these activities and Claude Debussy's music, which Kodály brought from Paris, starts to influence Bartók's music. In 1934, the Hungarian Academy of Sciences appoints Bartók to research and publish folk melodies. Bartók was deeply interested not only in Hungarian and neighbouring nations' music, but also in the music of other nations that have language ties among them. In 1924, he published 3 Mari folk melodies with a pentatonic structure, which he likened to Hungarian folk melodies and decided on this. The connection between pentatonic Hungarian music and Mari music is indisputable. Bartók attached such big importance to this discovery of his that he started to learn Russian and prepare for a trip to see the Volga river banks where Mari people lived. After World War I, he had to give up this research.
Istenke altasson el, angyalka megkölcsön fel. Na, na, na, na, na, na, na, na. Na, na, na, na, na, na, na. Na, na, na, na, na, na, na.
Before starting his Turkey trip in 1936, Bartók made compilations of Romanian and Slovakian folk music and recorded them with the technology of then. He was going to write these after his Turkey trip. I have found a characteristic melody type. The structure of this melody type reveals a surprising similarity with the so-called descending structure of old Hungarian tunes. If we take into account the fact that tunes with such a structure are only known to be widespread among Hungarians, Romanians, the Mari and the Northern Turks, these even more certainly seem to be remains of an old, thousand-year-old Turkish style of music. In 1935, Bartok was saying, "When we set out for this task, we used to believe the pentatonic style arose from Northern Asian Turkic nations. In the vicinity of Kazan, we found Hungarian melodies originating in Northern Turkic melodies, together with Hungarian melodies as variations of Mari songs. And a short while ago, I have come across with a book of Mahmut Ragib Gazimihal. I have found a couple of melodies with this style in there as well. It is apparent that all the melodies of this kind originate in one source, and this source is an old mid-northern Asian Turkic music culture. However, Hungarian language belongs to Finno-Ugric family. Yet, Hungarian folk music didn't have any ties with any of the Finno-Ugric nation's music. According to linguists and historians, the relationship between Hungarians and Finno-Ugric people was at most a language tie. It didn't have anything to do with ethnicity. The scrupulous works of Bartok as he researched and scored folk music became important resources for modern folk music groups later on. Bela Bartok's musical recordings have become a prominent source of inspiration for modern groups. The living examples of the relationship between Turkic nations and Hungarian folk music Bartok established could be found in the works of Muzika's group performing Hungarian folk songs with great skill later on. László Rozsonyi, a lecturer at the newly founded Faculty of Languages, History and Geography of Ankara University, advised Bartók to collect melodies in Turkey with the letter he wrote in December 1935. In April 1936, the president of Ankara Community Centre officially invited Bartók to give a conference on the methods of collecting folk music and his own composing principles. Rejoiced upon hearing the news, Bartók accepted the invitation. Moreover, he immediately started to learn Turkish and came to Istanbul in November 1936. We are going to trace Bartók's researches in Anatolia, together with Hungarian ethnomusicologist of our times, Mr. János Sipos. Dr. János Sipos is an expert who has improved Bartók's researches and extended them to all Turkic republics, and devoted his life to comparative analysis of Turkic folk music.
I want to show you one of my books.
Its name is Anadolu'da Bartók'un izinde. And I wrote a lot of things about Béla Bartók's Anatolian research.
And then you'll
find, like I've found, about Anatolian folk music, and about the folk music, and about the similarity of Hungarian and Anatolian folk music. There are many transcriptions, and lots of analysis, and also a lot of picture in this folk music. Then, as I told you, I went to Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, to different places of Kazakhstan. And I also visited Kyrgyzstan, and I visited the Caucasians. My aim is to continue the research Bartók started in Turkey and among Turkish people. And I went to different Turkish people and recorded several melodies over there. And about these things, I wrote 12 books.
Béla Bartók ott állt a Buryagelm is.
Béla Bartók came here in �36, and after spending a couple of days in Istanbul, he went to Ankara, and then from Ankara to Adana. Why did Bartók come here? He knew there was a strong bond between Hungarians and Turks, and he decided on researching whether there was a strong connection between Hungarian folk music and Turkish folk music.
We are standing
in front of the picture of Ahmet Adnan Saygun, a very famous Turkish composer.
He is very famous
now, and we know him as a companion of Béla Bartók during his research in Turkey. Ahmet Adnan Saygun followed Bartók in Istanbul. Now we are in a very important building, the Istanbul Conservatory. When Bartók arrived on the 2nd November here, the 3rd and 4th November, he stayed in this building and heard these recordings in the archive of the conservatory. Now, in the Bilkent University, there are institutes for Ahmet Adnan Saygun, and I hope that many researchers here have learned there. On the 2nd and 3rd of November, Bartók had the opportunity to listen to a number of records made by Columbia and his master's voice. These records were very important, and at this time in Hungary there wasn't any record made with folk musicians. But also Bartók had some objections, because these recordings were made by semi-professional Hungarian musicians, and the datas were not sufficient. However, he had started to learn the Anatolian folk music here in the Istanbul Conservatory. There isn't anything left from that time, but now we see some notes, some transcriptions. For example, this one, The sonata for two pianos and percussion was made in 1937. The same date, Bartók started Violin Concerto No. 2 and the contrast. So this was the reason that after turning back from Istanbul to Budapest, he didn't work very eagerly on Turkish collections. After staying in Istanbul for a short time, Bartók went to Ankara, the capital of the new Republic of Turkey. The revolutions were taking place one after another in the Republic of Turkey after it transformed from a multinational and multi-religious emperorship to a nation-state. In 1934, Ataturk wanted to revolutionize music as well. It wasn't enough for him to have revolutions just within the state administration and social life in order to create contemporary Turkish civilization. He wanted the cultural aspects to reach the level of contemporary civilization as well. Music was one of them, making use of the knowledge and methods of Western nations to bring Turkish music to an international level constituted Ataturk's aim within his studies concerning music. Ataturk was interested in Bartók's ideas about folk music. After 3 conferences on folk music and a concert in Ankara, Bartók went to Adana together with the composer Ahmet Adnan Saygun, who was appointed to aid him, and observers Ulvi Cemal Erkin and Necil Kazım Akses. Bartók brought an old portable recording device with him. The sounds and folk songs that were to reach today were going to be recorded with this device. In the evening of November the 18th, upon Sonya's advice, they set out to a shore village where nomadic tribes dwell in winters near the town of Osmaniye in Adana. Why did Béla Bartók come to Turkey? That's a very good question. We are Hungarian, and in Anatolia there are Turks. But Hungarians are half Turks and half Finno-Ugrian. Our language is Finno-Ugrian. Our music is very much Turkish. First, of course, we look for the music of Finno-Ugrian people, but their music is very different from the music of Turkish people. Then Bartók made very big, very large expedition in Hungary, in Romania, in Slovakia, and then in oasis in Biskra. And then suddenly Ataturk invited him to Turkey. Bartók was very happy to come here because he felt that he will find very interesting things here. So he came here, first to Istanbul as we told, and from Istanbul he went to Ankara. From Ankara he went to Adana. In Adana he worked with people from different villages. And then, at last, he could go. He could make some field work. He could go to Osmaniye. Then Osmaniye was a very small village. Here we will go to a place where he was sitting and he was listening to a music. A beautiful song which was very much Hungarian-like. They did their most productive studies on 19th and 20th November in Adana with the peasants singing folk songs. Even though I wasn't showing it, I was having ants in my pants because I had the opportunity of collecting folk songs on site at last. I was in a village home again. The 70-year-old host, Ali Bekir Bekir welcomed us in a friendly manner. The old man started to sing a folk song on the spot without hesitation as soon as we set foot on the garden. It was an old war story. The Wolf Pasha came to Kozan. It's incomprehensible, this order of the world. I couldn't believe my ears. This was like a variant of an old Hungarian melody. I recorded Bekir's folk song in Rejoice without losing any time. It fitted into 2 records.
Bela Bartok
talked and met with the old Ali Bekir here. Bekir sang him a beautiful song called Mount Kozan. This rejoiced Bartok. It was just like a Hungarian melody.
Çıktım Kozan'ın dağına Karı dizleyi dizleyi Yarelerim göz göz olmuş Cerrah gözleyi gözleyi Kuzanda karlı buzlu İçi de gelinli kızlı Ne yatarsın.
The second folk song I listened to from Bekir was also similar to a Hungarian melody. I was totally astonished. Then the son, wife and kith and kin of the old man got together and sang me new folk songs. I worked the whole night eagerly, just like I wanted to.
Bata bata gelin Ayşem suya akmış yonsullardan duta duta gelin Ayşem suya akmış kollarını atan ata koyun gelir kuzuyla ayağının tozuyla düğünümü kurun beyler Avşar Bey'in kızıyla.
Ben Ali Bekiroğlu Bekir'in ikinci kuşaktan Bekir Ali Bekiroğlu. Ali Bekiroğlu Bekir'in şu anda bulunduğunuz yer mekanı kendisine ait bir kullandığı binadır. Bela Bartok dedemle alakalı bir takım söyleşilere giriyor odada. Bu oda içerisinde taş plak mı kayıda geçiyor o sözler. O sözlerin kayıda geçtiği sırada tekrar konuşturduğunda da onun çok farklı bir o zamanki anlayış içerisinde radyo, televizyon, teyp olmadığı için aynı sesi tekrar dinlemek o insanların biraz merakını uyandırıyor ve onunla beraber Bela Bartok hatta orada bir söyleşi sırasında dedemin kendine has olan yapmış olduğu bir keman vardır. O kemanla alakalı bir sözü de orada şöyle geçer. Diyor ki ben kendimi Macaristan'da hissettim. Çünkü buradaki varyasyonlar o kadar beni mütehassıs etti ki kendimi Macaristan'da hissettim diyor Bela Bartok.
That day and onwards, Bartok and his assistants continued working in Osmaniye, Krayesal'la, Çardak, Tüsüz, Kelköy and Seyhan.
Menevşe buldum derede, menevşe buldum derede, sordum evleri nerede, sordum evleri nerede. Üç beş güzel bir arada, üç beş güzel bir arada, dilber dilber, canım dilber, canımın edası dilber, gönlümün sevdası dilber.
Bir top kutlu ben hediyen edeceğim. Göverin beni zalimler, ben anama gideceğim. Bir yürüdüm, bir hopladım, hayli çekermiş arası.
Bela Bartok visits 14 places within the short time between the 16th and 29th November. The folk songs sung by 30 people in total were recorded on vinyl records in these places. In order to do this, it was necessary to overcome the uneasy and concerned feelings of local people for outsiders and remove the anxiety of this devilish device of sound recording machine nobody heard of up to that time.
Yüksek yayla, ben daha görmedim böyle. Halini sormaya geldim, eşim yaraların heyle. Halini sormaya geldim, eşim yaraların eyle. Akan sular duruluyor, çifte davul vuruluyor.
Dinleyin Allah'ı, aç göz oğlunu yuyu, aç göz oğlunu yuyu, bunların manası üç sayılır.
Folk songs, requiems, wedding songs, rain prayer songs. Bartok seizes all the opportunities offered to him.
Ne bilir sırın kıymatıyın, sır altın haznaya karşı koyuluyor. Sırcadan ötede sırcanın suyu, sırcanın suyu, bir yiğit sırrını vermezsen iyi. Kötüler onu yür, şöyle ettim de iyi, varır mencilise iyi, boşan öyünüyor. Kötüler onu yür, şöyle ettim de iyi, varır mencilise iyi, boşan öyünüyor. Yola gitme yolda yaş, olman uğursuza ya, aman uğursuza ya, selam vermen hayır hırsıza pirsize. Komşun olmana deyip size arsız ayı, sonunda hırzına hila getirir. Komşun olmana deyip size arsız ayı.
Although Bartok's Anatolia Turkish folk music collection research in Turkey is quite limited in some respects, it has the characteristics of a comparative folk music research. This research mainly covers the comparisons with Hungarian folk music. Bartok says there's striking similarity between 20 of the 87 songs he collected and the old Hungarian melodies, and they all have a descending structure. Hungarian melodies starting from 8 and Turkish melodies starting from 10.
Kedves babám, megláttalak. Kedves babám, megláttalak. Szeretlek. Szerető életem is szép. Szerető életem is szép lelkednek. Szép lelkednek, mely mosolyog szelíden. Szemeidnek bűvös bájos tükrében.
Bartok analyzes the rhythmic pattern of verses, structure of the quatrains, the interrelation of composed verses and written verses, refrains, rhymes, and compares all of them with the features of similar melodies in Hungarian, Czech, Slovakian, and Ukrainian music. He states that composed verses and written verses don't match all the times, and the rest as required by the beat often divides the words in two.
Yine bahar geldi de amanın coştu yüreğim. Ah yüreğim. Akar boz bulanıp da seli dereler. Amanın dereler oy dereler. Üstünde kaldı postumuz, ikrarından da döndüm ola dostumuz. Yar yar, vay yarım bir günde kara toprak üstümüne. Çürüdür hay nazlın
sunam çürüdür, çürüdür ey. Vay yarın bir günde kara toprak üstümün çürüdür hay nazlı sunam çürüdür, çürüdür hey.
Paşa geliyor, düşmanına karşı koyan da merd olur. Ah de Şahin kocası da vermez avının amanın avını. Amanın aslı kurdanı kurdalı.
Bartok was going to say these words about his studies later on. Considering the historical fact that these nations lived next to each other 12 to 15 centuries ago, then got separated, settling in countries far away from each other and were never able to get in touch, it's obvious that this musical style has a history of at least 15 centuries. The extent of correctness in this kind of a view brings in an international importance to the subject because, as far as I know, there's no other example that can show a folk music having such long history with such irrebuttable evidence.
Bana diyorlar da ne ararsın burada, oy, aman burada, oy, duya duyadan içerime dert olur. Dert olur. Bana diyorlar da ne ararsın burada, aman beyler buradan uyuyun. Duya duyadan içerime dert olur, dert olur.
fedi, már nem tudod ki jön bi, már nem tudod ki jön bi. Ki az este miatt jó, kilenc armát hozott volt, mind a kilenc volt, csak legényes egy rossz volt. Ki az este miatt jó, kilenc armát hozott volt, mind a kilenc piros volt, a legényes egy jó volt.
Yüksek olurdan arabatın kaltağı, aman kaltağı, gene boş kalmaz da koçidin yatağı. Yar yar, belki bir kötünün der eteğin, aman eteğin. Beri dur haye nazlı sunan beri duyuyor, beri dur hey. Vay belki bir kötünün der eteğin, beri dur haye nazlı sunan beri duyuyor, beri dur hey.
Bela Bartok'a Aşıkkı İsmail'in söylemiş olduğu "Kamanda uşağım kalmadı" parçasını söylüyorum. Başımdan uşağım kalmadı. Ladıfı gitti sürüyüne. Geceleri ben duramam, gelinlerin zarına. Geceleri ben duramam, gelinlerin zarına. Umar Osman'ım Ali'nin Kavuz Maraş Veli'ne. Acep kavuştum olayı, ben fakım sarıyım. Acep kavuşabildim olayı, ben fakım sarıyım.
Yüksek yüksek tepelere ev kurmasınlar. Yüksek yüksek tepelere ev kurmasınlar. Aşı aşı memlekete kız vermesinler. Aşı aşı memlekete kız vermesinler. Annesinin bir tanesinin oy görmesinler. Annesinin bir tanesinin oy görmesinler. Uçan kuşlara malek olsun, ben annemi özledim. Hem annemi hem babamı, ben köyümü özledim.
1936 yılında Bela Bartok'un gelip Karahisalı'nın Sarı Mehmetli köyünde Şulhaoğlu'ndan derlediği Yine Bayram Geldi, Eller Giyinir eserini beraber seslendireceğiz.
Gene bayram geldi, eller giyinir. Benim yarim ele bakar yerine. Kitaba baktım ki elif görünür. Gel oldu gidelim de bizim ellere.
Aman kitaba baktım ki elif görünür. Gel nazları, gurbet elde kime edek nazları. Ananın babanın acı sözleri, bal oldu gidelim de bizim ellere.
Ananın babanın acı sözleri, bal oldu gidelim de bizim ellere.
We are here near Karahisarlı to remember a young Turkish man, Zekeriya Çulha. Zekeriya Çulha was brought with escort, with police escort to Adana. Then Adnan Saygun and Bartok came here to collect folk music. What is very important, when Bartok classified the material, he put Zekeriya Çulha's song to the first place. So the melody characterizing the Hungarian-Turkish parallels was sung by Zekeriya Çulha. Thank you, Zekeriya Çulha. Thank you for singing for us.
Haydost, yine göç eyledin avşar ellerin oy oy. Yüce dağdan aşan yollar bizimdir oy oy oy. Arap atlar yakın eder ragın. Ölen ölmüş kalan sağlar bizimdir oy oy oy oy oy oy oy oy oy. Arap atlar da yakın eder uzağın. Ölen ölmüş kalan sağlar bizimdir. Yüce dağdan aşan yollar bizimdir oy oy oy. Ektim ekini de kuramadım harmanı. Yar kalmadı da dizlerimin dermanı oy oy. Devlet hakkımızda vermiş fermanı. Ferman padişahı dağlar bizimdir oy oy oy oy oy oy oy oy oy. Devlet hakkımızda vermiş fermanı. Ferman padişahı dağlar bizimdir. Yollar bizimdir oy oy oy. Dama vurdum bir tepik, damın direği kepik. Dama vurdum bir tepik, damın direği kepik. Kız ben seni alırım da korkarım çoban öpük. Hele Meryem, kele Meryem. Eller kınalı Meryem de gözler sürmeli Meryem. Eller kınalı Meryem de gözler sürmeli Meryem. Dam başında su durur, oğlan mendil yudurur. Oğlan cahil, kız cahil de şimdi bunlar kudurur. Oğlan cahil, kız cahil de şimdi de bunlar kudurur. Hele Meryem, kele Meryem. Eller kınalı Meryem de gözler sürmeli Meryem. Dam başında bıtırak, gelin kızlar oturak. Oturmadan ne çıkar da gelin olak kurtulak. Oturmaktan ne çıkar da gelin olak kurtulak. Hele Meryem.
çimenle uyur yanamazsın. Yapma yeşil çimenle uyur yanamazsın. Dermanın yerlere uyur yanamazsın. Dermanın yerlere uyur yanamazsın. Oh. mezarını görmemiş. Benim ona mezarını görmemiş.
Çömçeli gelin çöm ister, bir kaşıcık yağ ister. Yağ olmazsa bal olsun, ablamın canı sağ olsun. Tarlada çamur, teknede hamur. Ver Allah'ım ver, sulu sulu yağmur. Ver Allah'ım ver, sulu sulu yağmur. Ver Allah'ım ver, sulu sulu yağmur.
Now we are in Tűzőz. This is the place.
Now we are in Tűzőz. This is the place where Bartók recorded from the Tergyili people. This is a nomadic people going in the summer and coming back in winter.
And
now we go to record some folk music.
Kör olun tuttum diyeden atlar oynatmam, atlar oynatmam. Oynadıp da dertli sinem darlatmam. Kolu balı dost köyüne uğratman, anaman uğratman. Aman Bolu beyim, ben Köroğlu deliyim, ben Köroğlu deliyim.
They finished their work of collecting in Adana on 25th of November. As soon as he arrived in Budapest, Bartók rolled up his sleeves to notate the 64 records of melodies in his hands. Most of the work was done in May 1937. However, the problems he encountered with the writing process of the verses delayed the collection work for some time. Then the terrible shadow of Hitler and Nazism fell all over Europe. After the outbreak of World War II, Bartók's intention of leaving Europe grew day by day. Béla Bartók, as an absolute anti-Nazi, stayed away from the concerts in Germany after the Nazis seized the power and parted ways with his German publisher. Bartók wanted to go back to Turkey and continue his research on Hungarian and Turkish folk musics from where he left during the years of war. However, his correspondences with his Turkish friends over the matter didn't yield any results. He passed his request to Ahmet Adnan Saygun. However, he couldn't get the answer he was expecting from Ankara. Considering many European artists and scientists were called to Turkey and we benefited from their accumulation of knowledge during the years of war, Bartok's not being able to come back to Turkey should be remembered as a great misfortune. Not being able to get an invitation from Turkey, Bartok went to the USA with his wife. After moving to the USA with his wife, Bartok never felt comfortable there and had difficulty in writing new things. Although he was a well-known composer and pianist all over Europe before the war, not being known in the USA and people's lack of interest in his music had an impact on this as well. He gave concerts with his wife, got scholarship for collecting Yugoslavian folk songs for some time, but their income never bettered and he started to lose his health. Bartok finalized his research about Turkey in the USA. He finished his Turkish folk music from Asia Minor research during the years of war, but couldn't get it published. The book was able to be published as late as 1976 in the USA and Hungary, and translated to Turkish in 1991. Looking at the past today, it is seen as a great mistake that Bartok wasn't introduced to Ataturk and his theses weren't conveyed to him. And it was great misfortune for his priceless book of Turkish folk music collections and researches to be published in Turkey the last. This piece, handling the prehistoric times of Hungarians and Turks and the connections of the music traditions of these two nations thoroughly, became a milestone in the field of ethnomusicology. In 1945, Bela Bartok died of leukemia in New York, where he spent the most unproductive period of his life. His ashes were brought to Budapest in 1988. Osmaniye, a developing city of Turkey today, hasn't forgotten Bela Bartok's contributions to Turkish folk music. The Bartok Exhibition Hall, which was opened in association with Hungarian and Turkish authorities in Celebi Bereket Culture Center in 2010, hosting its visitors as an appreciation of Osmaniye for Bartok. After Bartok's researches, a strong Turkology professorship chair came into existence in Hungary. And just like our guide, Dr. Janos Sipos, in our Osmaniye trip, ethnomusicologists continued their researches in all the Turkic republics following the path of Bartok and researched the roots of Turkish and Hungarian folk musics. Today, totally new performances are emerging in contemporary Hungary, as they blend the music of the two countries following the path Bartok initiated. Young Hungarian artists keep tracking the traces of similarities between Turkish and Hungarian folk music.
ne bajdujdum, ne babacım, elsundum göllerim derdim, ne baduydu ne babancım, ne baduydu ne babancım. Elveszik a szűrődet, mivel takarsz bingemet, van nekem egy cifra bundám, mit akarlak, kedves rózsám. Hajtsd ki, rózsám, az ökröket, legeltesd meg szegényeket, bársonyfűre ne hajtsd őket, mert elveszik a szűrödet. Ha elveszik a szűrödet, mivel takarsz bingemet, van nekem egy cifra bundám, mit akarlak, kedves rózsám. Van nekem egy cifra bundám, mit akarlak, kedves rózsám.
The neighbourhood of Turks and Hungarians dating back 1,000 years still has traces in their requiems, folk songs and dances. There is a famous Turkish saying, a cup of coffee is remembered for 40 years. Bela Bartok's short visit 75 years ago is now being engraved to the history as a reminiscence of friendship towards the future.
Tekintek, asszonyomot látom, bíborba, városomba, gyöngyös koszorúba. Zivit-zavot a lovamnak, gyöngykoszorút a lányomnak, pap vagyok, mester vagyok, szabad legúgón.
Yaylanın da yolları gatar gatar gider. Ölümüyle ayrılık da bellerime de büker.
Jaj, jaj, jaj, jaj, jaj, jaj lelkem kedves Jánosom. Jaj, nem vár többet a háromlábú lábosom a pucikból. Jaj, milyen boldog voltam, mikor hallottam, hogy feltértél a nagy utcán.